What's up guys, and welcome to episode 2 of the Freestyle Files. Coming up, I feature a whole host of amazingly talented pilots like always. I also talk about 2 brand new potential FPV Freestyle action cameras, and I look back at the history of FPV and discover that the Matty flip was actually not created by someone called Matty. All that and more, let's get into it. So we're going to start this episode with some good old-fashioned community spotlight, and I've lined up 5 amazingly talented pilots for you, and we're going to get into it with the first one. And this guy is from Belgium, and his name is Auguras FPV. Let's watch a couple of his clips. The thing I like about this guy is that he does a lot of tricks that I like to do, like a rewind, inverted yaw spin. He's got his backwards tricks down, he's hitting trippy spins, and it's all done in some very proximity field environments. Forests like this are really not easy to fly. I also really like this video. I love how the ND filter flies off there. One of my favorite tricks, roll to reverse split S. Woo, plenty of speed, plenty of style, killing it, hitting the inverted yaw spin left and right, and finishing it. Almost made it, but unfortunately ended with a crash, but it's great to see he's sending it. Very talented pilot. On to the next one. Now this second pilot is someone who I've featured plenty of times before, and I'm sure you probably already know him. The reason why I'm featuring him is because of one trick he did recently that it blew my mind. His name is Martin, or TinXD. I still don't know how to say that, even though he's told me. And we're going to watch one of his recent videos. This is probably the craziest Barani I think I've ever seen. He's got that signature speedy flow, precision, flawless flow I'll call it, and he's always super fast. But check out this Barani. Out the tight gap, in the tight gap. Yeah, that was absolutely mental. Have you ever seen a Barani better than that? I personally don't think I have. Madness, madness, nothing more to say. Anyway, on to the next pilot, and this next pilot is a guy who flies tiny whoops, and I discovered him recently and I was just blown away by his flow and precision, smooth style, and his name is Volker. So there's that precision I was talking about. He's hitting the tight gaps. I love his flow. He's always so smooth and so locked in. Lots of proximity as well. Ooh, precision. And this was one of my favorite lines that I saw of his recently. He's got the reverse combos down as well. He's got this really locked, this orbit into trippy spin, and it's so smooth. Ooh, look at that. Love that exit. And then he slides his way into a Matty flip to finish. So good. Really love his flow. Really talented tiny whoop pilot. Nothing more to be said. On to the next pilot. This next pilot is a Sabanger. And I've seen him improve quite a lot lately. I think he's really sending it, and let's just watch. So his name is Zane. Ooh, look at that flat yaw, super sexy. He's got that great combination of the fast and slow that I was talking about in my Juicy video recently. There's the man himself, and yeah, he's just so locked and proximity next to the ground when he's throwing in these mad quick combos, locking the horizon. Really like this sequence that he does here as well. Just so juicy. Oh, and that inverted yaw was perfect. Yeah, it doesn't get much better than that when it comes to open field stuff. Really get great Sabanger. And with that Sabang theme in mind, we're going to move on to the next pilot, who is also a Sabang pilot, but this guy, honestly, I really love this guy's flow, and the thing I love about his Sabang is that he often incorporates objects or trees usually in his flow, and there's plenty of proximity. Let's just watch. So this guy's name is Krawa, if that's how you say it right, and there you go. That's that tree proximity that I was talking about. I prefer Sabang when it's not only open field stuff, when you're kind of playing with the environment like he does here. This was a great example, I thought. He's so locked, showing that he's super controlled. It's not just erratic, doing crazy movements in an open field. He really You see there, he's playing with those trees, he's getting close to them, and then he's throwing in these insanely fast combos and then going really smooth, chop chop, bit of tree trimming. So there you go, so nice. I really love that guy's style. It's just mwah. Anyway, on to the next section, which is Trick of the Month. And you'll notice that I've changed it from Trick of the Week in episode 1 to Trick of the Month, because we all know there's no way that I'm going to get one episode every 2 weeks, so it's going to be one a month. And this Trick of the Month, I'm leading on from the Sabang that we just watched from Krawa, where he ended it with an eject. The Trick of the Month is going to be an eject, a juicy eject. But I'm going to get into that in just a minute. I'm going to go back to last episode's Trick of the Week, which was a switchback. Almost forgot there. And I had loads of you send me in videos or tag me in videos with switchbacks, and there were some seriously epic ones. And I've just picked one of my favorite ones to feature, and it's from a pilot called Bog FPV. Watch this. This guy's so talented.
Okay, so I was watching Patrick's new FPV Freestyle Kings video.
You see, I like how he's given a shout out to episode 1 as well.
Trick of the week is a switchback, split S.
So I've cut the video down a bit. He shows some of his attempts. I wanted to highlight something as well in this video. The way that he does it is perfectly executed because of how long he holds his inverted hang time, really. So you watch.
Spot the gap.
You see, he spots his gap, and only at the last minute does he go for that matty exit. And that, I would say, is perfect execution. And that's something that I spoke about in my last trick tutorial about the switchback. And that was, when you go for the half power loop, don't flip for the matty too soon. And what he did was just so perfect. He sent it really hard and really fast, and then he just stayed inverted for a long time until he spotted his exit, and only then he went for the matty. And that's how he was able to hit such a small gap. Perfect execution. Bog, you're killing it. Anyway, talking about Trick of the Month, we're going to move on to this month's trick, which is the eject. So let's get into a mini tutorial. Okay, so the key with this trick is timing. You need to learn to time your throttle and your pitch control when you're doing the forward eject like this. So if I slow it down, you'll see that I'm pitching forward and then pitching back at the same time that I give a big throttle boost. And if I zoom into the sticks here, you can see more clearly, throttle goes up, pitch goes up, then back, and then both sticks return to center. And that's it pretty much. You just got to work on your timing. I always like to do them with a full throttle boost to get the maximum amount of speed. That's what happens when you mess your timing up. And this is my favorite way to do an eject. It's like the side eject. So here, before I start the eject, I kind of roll and yaw to the side, and only then I do the throttle boost. So I'm going to slow it down so you can see a bit more clearly. And you'll notice when I do this, when I roll to the side, or actually I'm using a lot of yaw as well, I don't need to pitch forwards. And in fact, when you give your throttle boost when you're sideways, that's when you pitch back to level yourself out. And once again, it's all about timing. Again, that's what happens when you get your timing wrong. And it's a great thing to sort of throw in when you're in the middle of a line, you do a trick, you lose a bit of speed, use your eject to get the speed going again. There's an eject after a trick, then I'm going to continue my flow, do a few tricks, and then throw in an eject, and I'm going fast again. And I use it all the time. It's a great way to maintain momentum and speed, and also add style. Alright, so next up we have got Crash of the Month, and I found a bunch of great crashes actually, but I just wanted to feature a couple. And the first one is from Scarce, who's a German pilot, and this guy sends it like there's no tomorrow. He's actually an insane pilot, so check him out. But he recently uploaded a crash compilation, and I've just included 2 of my favorites. Let's have a look. This one was so funny because he ended up going out the window. And this second one was just absolutely savage. You can hear the noise it makes when it smashes into that thing. I bet that guy breaks a lot. And speaking about breaking a lot of things, let's move on to the next crash, which was absolutely crazy. This is from Slick Nick. Let's check it out. Proximity dive on a tower. So close. It would have been perfectly executed had he not hit a lamp or something like that was sticking out. Mental crash. And I checked the comments and you can see he said he broke, so far, assuming you're still checking at this point, a motor, an arm, camera plate, bottom plate, and a camera lens. He's hoping that's all the damage. Mate, I hope that was all the damage too, because that's an expensive crash. Anyway, on to the next section, which is some news. Alright, so everybody out there probably knows that I use a DJI Action 2 for my freestyle, and I believe that that's one of the best cameras around for freestyle because of its lightweight, small size, and durability, I guess. However, there's a new kid in town, and it is the DJI Osmo Nano. So when it comes to picking an action camera for FPV freestyle, it's not the same as if you're picking a cinematic camera, which is more about the specs, the hardcore specs of what a camera can do. Of course that's important, but for freestyle, we need something that we know is going to be lightweight, cost effective, and durable. So, does the Osmo Nano meet those requirements? And I've got some stats on screen here, and I'm going to compare it with the Action 2. So it's actually slightly lighter than the Action 2 at 52 grams, which is positive. In terms of quality, it's actually got a bigger sensor, probably going to be better in low light, and you know, it's newer technology. People are saying it's got pro level features given its small size. So in terms of the picture quality, it's probably going to beat the Action 2. Another positive, which some people might say is a negative, but for freestyle it's a positive, there's no back screen, which I think is great because on the Action 2 that's usually one of the first things to break, and it's kind of cool because you've got this separate back screen, so you can set up your camera whilst it's in your mount just by looking at your back screen pretty much. Another great thing I would say is that you can detach the front lens. You can't do that on the Action 4, it's made of glass. You've got to, I don't know, send it back to DJI. But with this, you can just unscrew it, replace it with a new one, just screw it back on. One of the main drawbacks that I've seen so far is the field of view, which is only 143 degrees. Now, to put that into perspective, the GoPro Session 5, which shot with Super View, was 149 degrees, so it's not even as wide as the Session 5, which is like a super old GoPro camera now, and it's nowhere near as wide as the Action 2, which is 155 degrees, and then that's that ultra wide view, which is amazing. And I've seen people flying it. I was watching Jev's video where he talks about it, and the field of view doesn't look too bad actually. It's not as good as the Action 2, but it's still decent. And talking of durability, I have seen a few people complaining that they've managed to break it already. Uber Tuber Dan, shout out to you. So I'm not sure whether the durability is going to be as good as the Action 2. But all that said, I think it could still be a decent contender and still usable for freestyle, I'll say. But time will tell, I think. But that's not the only new camera that's come out recently or coming out, and nobody seems to be talking about the new GoPro called GoPro Lit Hero. Now, is it going to be lit? Now, I've been looking at the specs, and for me, it doesn't really seem that lit, if I'm honest. It's heavier, it's 93 grams, it's got a smaller sensor, it's probably shite in low light, to be honest with you. It does have a very wide field of view, actually, at 165 degrees, which is pretty mental. It comes with a light on the front, which is kind of worrying. I feel like it's been marketed as like a selfie camera. Who asked for that? Anyway, it's got a back screen, which I don't really see as a positive for freestyle, that is. As far as specs go, it's not as good as the Hero 11 Mini, which was GoPro's last smallest action camera. It doesn't look that tempting, even though it is the cheapest option at $269, whereas the Osmo Nano is $299. So it is cheaper. But is it as good? No. I'm just going to tell you that before I've even tested it or seen it. I don't think it looks that great. So, I don't know. Why can't GoPro make good cameras anymore? All we want is a new session. Come on, GoPro. Sort it out. So it's that time where we show some big respect to the FPV Freestyle OGs. And today I'm going to be talking about a Canadian pilot by the name of Matty Stunts. Now, this dude was super creative and was not afraid to push boundaries, and he is most widely known as the inventor of the Matty flip. And you can actually see in this video where he actually shows and talks about its creation from 10 years ago. Now, the funny thing is that, and I just learned from looking at this video, that he didn't actually come up with the idea for the Matty flip. It was thought up by a guy named Josh Harwood, who was a guy who worked for a company called Lift RC, and I'm pretty sure designed the frames that Matty was flying at the time. Matty was doing something called a proxy flip, which as far as I can tell is like a big power loop where you have like extreme proximity to the top of the object that you're power looping. And so Josh suggested, why don't you try it in reverse, which was essentially a Matty flip as it's now known. So they jumped in the sim to see if it was possible, and guess what? The rest is history, because obviously it was possible because it exists. And it's funny because at the time they were calling it the trick or a reverse proxy flip, but it was later named the Matty flip because he was the first to do it, and so people just started calling it the Matty flip, and that stuck. So what's crazy to me when I look back at this guy's videos is that after the Matty flip, just 2 weeks later he released another video where he's already doing a flip to Matty flip combo. So I mean, you can tell that this guy had a fierce passion for FPV and for creating new tricks and pushing the limits. And then since then, he just got more and more creative. And looking back, I am totally blown away by just how advanced he was in his thinking when doing tricks and combos. My personal favorite video of his is one of his last freestyle videos from 2018 called The Fourth Dimension. Some of the combos he does in this video are just simply mind-blowing. And it's hard to imagine that all this was over 7 years ago. This was before I even started flying, probably before I even knew what FPV freestyle was. There's one trick in particular he does, which he calls a Mr. Jared flip, which have you ever heard of a Mr. Jared flip? I've never heard of it. And I imagine the reason why we've never heard of a Mr. Jared flip is because it was so difficult, nobody was able to do it, and so the name just never stuck. And so if we have a look at it and analyze it, it's a Rubik's Cube Matty flip combo. And the craziest thing about this, look how he enters the Matty flip. He does like a reverse split S with an extra flip. How is that even possible? And this is all 7 years ago. Totally madness. Matty stunts. It's a shame you're not flying anymore. Salute to you. On to the next section. Right, so I've got a super cool community project to share with you this month, and it is a whole simulator that somebody in our community has created, and I wanted to highlight this just because that's pretty insane achievement. And the guy who created it is a guy that I featured on last episode, Niels, and he created his very own simulator called The Zone. So this sim has 4 different maps which you can either play online with others or offline by yourself. And one of the coolest things is that the spots are based on real locations in Germany, I think, such as this famous bando that you've probably seen in a million videos, plus the good old IKEA and a couple of others. And the main thing that Niels has tried to do with this sim, and its main selling point, is the physics. And he claims that they're true to life physics. So I played it, and what do I think? So initially with the default settings, for me, it didn't feel that great. However, I tweaked with it, I played around, and I changed the settings to match my real life settings, and it actually felt pretty damn good, I'm not gonna lie. And I would say, yeah, it was a lot better than many of the other sims out there. So I really appreciate all the work that he's put in, and it's definitely worth a look if you're looking for realistic physics over tons of maps and extra features. And I also wanted to include some clips from Robocopter, an awesome FPV pilot, and this video where he's flying in the Zone simulator, and he himself says that it is the most true to life physics of any sim, and he's a top pilot, so I'm sure you can trust him. My only complaint would be that I've got a bit of an old computer from 2018, my MacBook here, and it doesn't run that smoothly, whereas I can run Liftoff, AI Drone Sim or Uncrashed, for example, much more smoothly. I guess that could be seen as a bit of a me problem though, and I would still say don't sleep on this great simulator, definitely worth a look, and 2 thumbs up, great physics, check it out! Now this month, I saw this video recently and it just, I don't know, it took me back. It just has the best vibes ever. I love the flying in it. The pilot is so good. I have featured him before, but this is just a masterclass in flying juicy, I'll say. Filled with proximity. I love the spot. I love everything about it. The guy who's flying, the pilot even, is called Jacuzzi J. Let's watch some of his video. It's so sick. always so smooth, and he's so locked with his lines. His reverse combos and tricks are, ooh, putting in some spice there. Yeah, the music as well, the music choice, you've got to go watch it for the music. It's just great. The whole vibe is just quality. You know, he's the master of the trippy spin. And the proximity in this video, that was balmy. So good. And absolutely amazing, incredible pilot. I can't fault him. That is probably his best video that I've seen in a long time. Go check it out. So for my final thought, I thought I'd just share something that I've been thinking about recently. How many of you out there think that you've got a great tune? Well, how do you know? The reason why I thought about this is because quite a while ago, someone invited me to try their drone because they were banging on about how it was great and it flew amazing. And I flew it and it didn't fly amazing. And I was getting prop wash and it didn't feel locked at all. And the same person was even giving me tuning advice. But in my opinion, their tune was way worse than my tune. So how many of you out there are also like this? Maybe you think you've got a great tune, but it's not that great. Maybe I don't have a great tune. Maybe none of us have a great tune. Anyway, that was my final thought. And this reminds me of something. If you do want a really, honestly great tune, then I've spoken about this in a previous video. You can get a custom tune done by one of the Betaflight developers that will guarantee an actually great tune. And he did tune my drone, and that's why I think I have a great tune. So there. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next month in episode 3. Peace!